I recorded a video of books I've changed my rating on, and then I realized I had like no energy in that video, so I was gonna redo it with a bunch more energy today. I was gonna stand up this time. Notice I'm not standing now. But then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna rank every book I read last year, still coming at it with some energy. Let's get into it. As you see, there are not a lot of books on this page here. If you've seen the videos that I've put out recently, you've heard the phrase life fell apart. It did. You'll hear why in a bit. But massive reading slump for the second half of the year, really like the last 8 months of the year. Anyway, let's just get right to it. These are in order, so I didn't make fun names. I'm going to make fun names for the tiers real quick. Pause. All right, we're back. I made fun names, so it's S tier is now.
Spectacular. Give me 14 of them right now.
You're coming with me for the next one because I'm moving in July, and I'm getting rid of majority of my book collection, but some of them I am going to be shipping over to Japan. So that is like these ones are, they're not top of the top, but they're really good enough that I'm going to keep them and pay to ship them. Next is Better Than Akatar, so not that great, but like a 3-star. It's like I enjoyed it, I had fun with it. And the last one is I Want My Time Back because I regret reading these books. I only have 4 here because I put books down really quickly, so it's not going to get worse than that. There's no like, oh, this is the worst book I've ever read. Well, that was Red Rising. But typically, I put books down really quickly if I'm not going to like them. Starting with the first book I read last year, The Justice of Kings. Fantastic book. It's going to get a You're Coming With Me. Now, actually, spectacular. Yeah, no, it's going to get a spectacular. Give me 14 of them. That was real quick. I am not harsh enough at all. But I loved this book. It got me really excited for the trilogy. I haven't finished it, I know, but it was a fantastic book. It's about a traveling judge. It's medieval fantasy, kind of grimdark. He's got these like necromantic powers, and basically, traveling judge has powers that can help him solve crimes. But it's not like a crime novel. It's still a fantasy novel. It's really good. Uh, yeah, I don't have much more to say, but that's good because we're going to try to make this a short video. So moving on. Desperation. This one was definitely a letdown. It's going to get your... maybe I should have made another tier, but nope, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. Ooh, that's tough. So let's talk about it first, and then maybe by the end of talking about it, I'll know. I read The Regulators first. That was my first real Stephen King book because I did The Body before that, but that's just a novella. Anyway, reading this, I was kind of let down because I love The Regulators so much, and a lot of people talk about how Desperation is better than The Regulators. It kind of just felt. It kind of just felt like I've redone this like 5 times. It kind of just felt like a slower version of The Regulators. The characters were all different, and like if you don't know, the books are connected. One came out under Richard Bachman, one came out under Stephen King. Richard Bachman is Stephen King. Same characters, but like same names, but then different characters behind them. So it felt really weird. I definitely prefer The Regulators to it. So it's gonna get a Better Than Akatar because it was good, but the whole time it was just like trudging through it, and that's not the fantastic book. It will be coming with me, I'm pretty sure, because the books look. It will be coming with me because the books look really nice when you put them next to each other, and just I love Stephen King, so I'm going to take as many of his books as I can with me. Anyway, moving on. This next one is Yon and Mu by Junji Ito. This one is definitely getting a spectacular. Give me 14 of them. It's a very fun and cute story by Junji Ito, the author of Uzumaki and a bunch of other manga, like horror manga. And so it's funny that it's just a cute story about his cats, but he kind of turns them into monsters. If you haven't read it, definitely go read it. It's really quick. It's like a 30-minute read. I picked it up just to look at it and then sat down and ended up finishing the whole thing. And it was fantastic. I ended up giving it to my friend's girlfriend because I knew that she would appreciate it. She loves cats. She loves Junji Ito, and she loved it so much too. Next is Caliban's War. I'm going to be honest, I don't remember a ton about this book. This is book 2 in The Expanse. I remember a ton about book 1. This one, I just, not as much as sticking with me, but I do love the series and I love the characters. So it benefits from being in The Expanse, definitely. But I remember having a good time with it. A lot has happened since then, so maybe that's why I don't remember the book. But ugh, a lot has happened since then, so maybe that's why I don't remember the book. But I still think it's fantastic. I love the series. I'm really excited to keep going with it here pretty soon, and it's going to get a You're Coming With Me. Next book I finished after that is Dungeon Crawler Carl. I'm currently on book 3. It is such a fun series. Um, Lit RPG. I mean, I'm sure you guys know about it. I'm not going to tell you what it's about. There are smarter people than me to do that. Fantastic narrator, fantastic world and idea, and just lit RPGs doesn't sound like something that would click with me. This one really does. It's going to get spectacular. Give me 14 of them. Next up is Cujo. This one was going along like for the first probably 80% of the book. I was kind of like, okay, don't really care about this. It's all right. It's whatever. A lot more non like there's a lot of scenes that don't involve the dog and the kid in the car, and I was like, what's going on? I don't care about this B plot. The end of the book though like had me crying. The end of the book is incredible, and I still think about it, and I want to reread this one now knowing and appreciating the end of the book, which seems to be a habit of mine with Stephen King. Of I will kind of not get what he's going for, and then at the end I'm like, wait, I get it now. And everybody hates his ending, so maybe that's it. I wait. Oh, everyone is reading Stephen King wrong. Video idea. Damn it! Should I put another one? I don't know. Tyranny of Faith. This is book 2 in the Empire of the Wolf trilogy by Richard Swan. It is gonna get You're Coming With Me. It's a great book. Didn't quite live up to the hype of the first. It slowed down a little bit. I felt like it didn't expand on the magic system places that it needed to. So it is a great book. I'm about to read the third one real soon, which means within 6 months, if I get to it within that time. Percy Jackson, the Lightning Thief, spectacular. What that says. Obviously, this is a reread upon. This is a reread like 5 times over. This was my favorite series as a kid. Read it so many times, and with the series coming with the TV show that came out last year, I decided I was going to read it with my ex. She never did, and I loved it. My grandma, who's dead now, I'm not going to tell the. Never mind. Empire of the Vampire. This is a great series. I got to meet Jay Kristoff last year after I read this for the release of Empire of the Damned. Book 1, funny enough, on Goodreads, I gave book 1 lower rating than book 2, I think. I think I gave book 1 4 stars and book 2 5 stars. I kind of want to swap those. Not sure. But, ooh, see, I'm not. Actually, looking back on it, a lot of shit happens in book 2 that was like really like, whoa, M. Night Shyamalan type stuff. So, I'm positive I said that wrong. I'm sorry. It's going to get spectacular. Give me 14 of them. Because I love this book. I also did it, like, I read it with some people in the Discord and had a great time. Got to go meet Jay Kristoff. Like I have said before, reviews are based on vibes and enjoyment, so outside sources are going to affect my ratings of these books. I probably don't want this light facing the camera. Sorry about that. ACOTAR. Well, if there's a tier called Better Than ACOTAR, guess what's going on the tier beneath it? This is my second lowest rated book now. It was my lowest rated for a while. I just think this is what happens when someone gets really into animorphs and then furry and then writes about it. Yeah, it wasn't good. Don't read it. Terry Pratchett's Equal Rights. It was a good idea. I just feel like Terry Pratchett was a bit too hyped up to me, and it was definitely, this was my first Discworld book, and I don't know. It was kind of just, it definitely not that, nothing, it wasn't, there was nothing bad about it. It was just kind of lackluster to me. It was funny jokes and stuff, but it was like what you would use a Dungeon Crawler Carl or a Hitchhiker's Guidebook for, of like something easy and funny to read between your big books, but it didn't live up to that level of enjoyment, right? It wasn't that funny, didn't have that much action or, things happening. So yeah, not a big fan of it, but I don't hate it. It was still fun. and I like the concept. The Stand, I read this one for a video I did with Vera last year that I never posted, but she did. So if you want to watch that, go watch the video here. I love this book. Going through it, I definitely had a hard time. This is as life was kind of starting to fall apart, I think. Yeah, it definitely was. And so this was not feeling like reading, really. I definitely thought that there were places that could be cut. I want to read the original version and just see, like, does it hold up? You know, definitely you should read this one first, I think, so you get the full every bit. But I'm curious if on a reread, the original is just as good, because that would save me a lot of time. And I love spending time with Stephen King, but this one just felt like there was places that could be cut, and maybe the editors had it right the first time. I don't know. You're Coming with Me, though. I think that's a great book, but because of the like length and just a few pacing issues, it like once no, I can't go into spoilers. Um, I was gonna say if you want me to make a stand video, let me know, but there I kind of already did. Um, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Kafka on the Shore, spectacular.
Spectacular. Give me 14 of them right now.
I should probably do the rating at the end for like retention or something, but obviously this one is not kind of working the same. Where if it were a Wheel of Time, wait, did I say why I named it that? I don't think I did. It was give me 14 of them because like if this were a long series like Wheel of Time size, I would read it. So all the other ones I feel that way about. This one it's a bit different because it doesn't work the same way. It's not a fantasy novel. There weren't they can't just keep going on quests. Um, this fucking solved my mommy issues and brought me to tears. This is such a good book, and if you have not read any Murakami, definitely read some Murakami. Check the trigger warnings before you do, but check this one out. It is amazing. Empire of the Damned, fantastic follow up to the first book. I thought it really built well on what was established in the first book. The lore got deeper, but spectacular. Give me 14 of them, right up there with that first book. They are, yeah, they're both really great books that do different things really, really well. Warbreaker. This is the book I was reading when my wife left me, and I didn't care for it that much. It's better than Akatar. That's definite. That's for sure. But I don't know. I read it between Way of Kings and Words of Radiance, so it definitely was like I just want to be reading Words of Radiance. There was also the whole my wife's leaving me, so that didn't feel great. Um, it's good. It's just not my favorite in the Cosmere. There it is. Better than Akatar. Duma Key. This one again is one where like I'm not gonna. It's not gonna get a Wheel of Time size series. This was a one off because and like what it did so perfectly because it's a spin off, not spin off. Sorry, standalone. This was okay. This was the next book I finished after uh, Warbreaker. Warbreaker was I think in April, and this was in August. So big gap. And all I had read between then was like the first half of Words of Radiance. Finished this one in like 3 or 4 days though. I stayed up, or well, didn't stay up. I couldn't sleep one night, so I picked it up and then read about 250 pages and just finished it. And I cried. It's a book about a guy who gets in an accident and then goes through a divorce, and it's just like everything in his life is in the worst point it can be. And where do you go from here? And then it's Stephen King, so the monster shows up. But I really related to that character, and it was just the book I needed in that time. Amazing. It's my favorite book now. Used to be The Shining. Now it's Duma Key. It's incredible. Words of Radiance. This is going to be my. Yeah, this is my favorite Stormlight book for sure. And I basically have read a 14 book series for this, like 10 now, I think, with, let's see, Wave Kings, Warbreak. We're not going to do the countdown. I'll just flash a picture here. Uh, yeah, great book. I felt like the first book I was really disappointed in because there just wasn't enough magic. There was too much setup, too much Kaladin, not enough Shallan. And this one was like, sweet, we get a lot more time with Shallan. We, finally have some magic coming into the world, and we're really getting into the series. The first one felt like a prologue to the series. Edge Dancer. I like Edge Dancer. A lot of people don't like Lift. I hate. I can't say that because of Stormlight spoilers. My biggest issue with this is Lift's. I love Lift, okay? Don't get me wrong. I love Lift. It's just the one of the words that she uses when that she calls something, and that it never changes. And so, if you know, you know. If you don't, I'm not spoiling it for you. That's as careful as I can be. Anyway, I liked this one a lot. Actually, it was, of course, suffering from wanting to get to Oathbringer, but I thought it was a nice little side story, and it's going to get your coming with me. Oathbringer. This is my second favorite book in the Stormlight Archive. I think that there definitely are some issues with it, but honestly, I didn't feel them. Like I was taking it slow. I read these books like over the course of months, but I loved it. I thought it was a great follow up to Words of Radiance. Like coming off that high, you kind of feel like you don't know. I mean, there are a lot of questions that you want answered, and I felt like it answered enough in a satisfactory way while setting up new ones. And great book. Yeah, good book. Good book. Good book. Good. Dawn Shard. This one's definitely lower than Akatar. I also realize I'm not lower. No, lower than Edge Dancer. I have not been arranging them in order within the tier, so we'll go back and do that in just a minute, I guess. Great. This one is going to be better than Akatar. I thought it was good. It's just that it's kind of forgettable. Again, it suffers from wanting to get a rhythm of war. I do like the nautical parts of the Cosmere, and so having that here was really good. But I just felt like it didn't add enough to the overall story that it was worth the investment of reading between books. But it was a fun little side story. Yeah, play like that. All right, Rhythm of War. I had a lot of issues with Rhythm of War. Actually, there is something that happens like I don't know 30-40% into the book, and I'm thinking, cool, this is going to be 100 pages max, right? And it is the rest of the book, and I hated it. I mean, I liked the book. By the time I got to the end, I'd gotten over that, but I can't say because of spoilers, but it's gonna get. See, I sounded like I was so negative on it, and by the end, I loved it. So it's gonna get your coming with me. Yeah, Sunlit Man. This one, it was really good. It was a really good story. Once again, it suffered from wanting to get to Wind and Truth, which means it suffered the most because it's like right at the end, and I'm reading it. This is the first time I'm reading, close to the release date too. But I personally felt like it should have been read after Wind and Truth. Honestly, after everything was said and done, I felt like it gave me nothing but nothing insightful about Wind and Truth. It took me out of the story because I was thinking about, oh, is X going to happen or connect or whatever, right? Um, but in and of itself, I think it was a really fun story with just a great idea. I can't say too much. Like the Cosmere ones, I'm being especially spoiler safe on. um, anyway, it's going to get a You're Coming With Me. With that, all of the books are on the list, and now we actually need to order them. Better Than Akatar is already done. I Want My Time Back is obviously done. You're Coming With Me. Let's see. Tier list is ordered, and we're just going to real quick list them off. Also, thank you for ignoring the fact that they are all like 2 megapixels. I just downloaded them from the Goodreads preview on the list of everything I've read. The best book I read last year was Duma Key by Stephen King. Then we have Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami, Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson, The Justice of Kings by Richard Swan, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief by uh, Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson, Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Denneman, Empire of the Damned by Jay Kristoff, Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff, and Yonen Mu by Junji Ito. On the You're Coming With Me list, we have The Stand by Stephen King, Tyranny of Faith by Richard Swan, Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson, The Sunlit Man by Brandon Sanderson, Caliban's War by James S.A. Corey, and Edge Dancer by Brandon Sanderson. On Better Than Akatar, we have Dawn Shard by Brandon Sanderson, Desperation by Brandon Sanderson. Nope. Desperation by Richard Bachman / Stephen King. Cujo by Stephen King. Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. Equal Rights by Terry Pratchett. And on I Want My Time Back, we have A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Thank you for tuning in. Shut up, chair. Bye bye.